welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny, and today we are continuing our Godheads series by talking about Hades and Prometheus, as we're going to be getting into the Heaven Trigram.
This is just so interesting, Moni, because we get to go through 4 hexagrams at a time and help determine sort of this process by which it externalizes into the world. It's being given called like these godheads, but we could literally come up with any name for it. It's just interesting to obviously pick these mythical things, and it ties it together. It's a new way to tie together the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they're the spokespeople. Like
Yeah,
Godheads is a very dramatic sounding kind of
yeah,
title, the Godheads, and they're these deities and Hades and Prometheus. It's like these really big names, but it's basically like the spokesperson. And Ra had a flair for the dramatic and was good
yeah.
at marketing. So it's interesting to continue the idea of the trigram and that's being externalized by the spokesperson or the Godhead.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it.
Absolutely. So, if you would like to book a reading with Danny or myself, check out the QR code here right above my head. The code is also down in the description box below. Feel free, be sure to use code AWAKEN for an extra 10% off so you can save a little bit and you can hang out and talk with either Danny or myself.
Yeah, I can't wait. We've already had one booking so far. It's really good. This is how things start. Pretty soon. I think it'll be really good. I can't wait to get into more people and help them see them. You know what I mean? They want it. They just don't know it yet. They'll be there.
Absolutely. And if you'd also would like to donate to our channel, the QR code above, if you've been enjoying what we're teaching, if you'd like to support us and help us grow, then feel free to check that out. The link is also down in the description box below if that's easier.
Yeah, we put out a lot of value. I mean, like truly a lot of value. If someone just watches our show through the series of various things, they will be able to, have a firm foundation. So
Oh yeah,
donations
it's
are wicked appreciated, man. Send it in like I would if I were watching.
absolutely. And thank you to everyone who can. And just to your point, yeah, like we've definitely developed a course, like a whole course load. Like if you went through our videos and watched it section by section, like you would get a solid course load that like
What is
I
human design
yeah,
and how to
absolutely.
read it?
Because that's pretty much what this has been for me is just like this show is kind of like my human design PhD thesis where I'm going to go
Mm,
through all the things and make it pretty and have my own library and share it in my own creative kind of way. So I feel like anyone who kind of catches us in this early phase is like you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck because it's free.
wickedly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Isn't it true?
Absolutely. So, thank you to everyone who is watching, liking, subscribing, hanging out with us, asking questions. We love having you. Thanks for being with us, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So here we have, I always love this image because it's really, really pretty, so I love to include it. But we have our human design mandala wheel focusing on these 16 different godheads, right? 16 archetypal themes that are the spokesperson for a specific one of the 8 trigrams, the I Ching trigrams. And so, like Danny was saying, these are these externalizers, these figureheads that are kind of representing the energy of each of their trigrams. And so when we started this series is all the way back here with Maya at the beginning of the green section. And so Maya was with starts with gate 2 where it's full yin. It's earth over earth. All the lines are the broken or separated lines. So we've made it all the way through the quarter of civilization. We just finished up the quarter of duality here in yellow. And so now we're actually going to be starting into the quarter of mutation here in blue, where we're going to be beginning with Hades. And Hades,
Ruled by Sirius, right?
yeah, it's by Sirius, and we'll totally get into that in a couple of pages. But yeah, Hades starts off with gate 1, which is heaven over heaven. So whereas the first half of this series, it's been this very yin feminine led kind of energy. Now we're shifting over to the half of the year where the yang is leading the foundation.
Yeah, and it's 4 hexagrams per godhead, 8 trigrams per the 2 godheads,
No,
eight
eight
trigrams, meaning
eight
or tri.
hexagrams.
I said, but 8 trigrams. I'm talking about the
Trigrams.
trigrams that stay the same for the 2 godheads. The 3 lower
Okay.
ones stay the same. I was breaking it down my own way. So
Okay,
someone out there
cool.
will get it and 8 won't. It's not my fault. It's perfect. Um, So yeah, I just like watching the symmetry. That's what's happening. I like watching the synchrony of the movement of the lines and the numbers and just how they work out. It's yep.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. To when you get to actually look at the wheel, which I think that'll actually be better on our no 2 slides down. We have like a better look at the wheel, but the Godheads are super fun, and it's just a really cool image to
And they really do
visualize it.
speak. They speak for these gates, and they speak in this fourth line way. You know, it would have been interesting. I didn't even think about it to sort of always added in what the fourth line of these hexagrams were as we listed their names and stuff. But maybe that's innately in there in the language. It's just they're speaking. Each one does. I guess you could really intuit what they are. I mean, I loved when we did Jesus
Minerva.
and Christ and Minerva. It wasn't Jesus, it was Christ. Christ and moving on into the four ways. This is just so good. So I'm ready to move.
Perfect. So here we did a full episode breaking down this whole chart because I know it looks kind of confusing, but we did a whole video on that. So I will link that in the corner and I'll link it down in the description below. But we'll go through like a little mini breakdown. But if you want the full, check out that other video. And so here we're basically seeing how we go from the base yin yang. So if you go the step above this, it's like the all, the creator, the source of all, that's then represented and broken down within the yin and the yang. The yin being the feminine, it's these open lines, and the yang is this masculine solid line. So I'm pretty sure most people have seen the yin and the yang because you have the yin side with a little bit of the yang, and then you have the yang side with a little bit of the yin, and it's this balance of the yin and the yang that is the foundation of
And
everything.
I want to say one thing about the yang, just because it's so important. In 1781, when we shifted into the nine centered being and we left behind the seven chakra being and turned into the nine, that look at the seven chakras, it looks like yang. And we left the yang world and we moved into, it's not the yin world, we moved into the balance between the both because we're a mixture between right and left. We're a mixture of men and women, obviously. And it becomes this mixture inside the genome that lets us finish waking up. Neither one could wake up on their own. And so 1781, we finally got a break. And so let's wake up and take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's this balance and this complementary like of opposites, like the complementary balance of opposites between the yin and the yang and how much we need one another and how those work together really well when they
My
work really
God.
beautifully.
Yes, yes, we do. I mean, historically speaking, wasn't there an age where it was the yin? And then there's a long age of just the yang, you know, masculine dominated, da da da. And now that's giving way to the cooperative, more communal version of that.
Yeah, there's a deeper understanding and appreciation of both sides and being able to work together. So, to continue explaining this chart, we start off with the yin on one side and the yang on the other, and we are going to basically double that up underneath it and then add another yin and a yang on top. And then, same thing over here with the yang, we duplicate the double yang and then we put another yin and a yang on top. And then you have these four base pairs. And then if you continue that on further, we're just extrapolating this out. So here you have this double yin. So we're going to duplicate it underneath and then add another yin and a yang. And then you're going to do the same with the yin with the yang on top. We're going to duplicate it, put another yin and a yang on top. Same thing here with the yang with the yin on top, duplicate it, add another one on top. And finally, the double yang, duplicate it, add another yin and a yang on top. And so then you have the 8 trigrams. So again, we have the longer video. Check that out where we really break it down in detail. But basically, it's how we go from a single yin and yang and we extrapolate it out into these 8 trigrams of the I Ching. I think you're muted, Danny.
And unlike its quarter on the other side, civilization, this is the masculine electric. I like this language, the
Yeah,
electric and the magnetic. And we're now in the two solid yang lines farthest to the right. That is the genetic base pair ruling this whole quarter. It will be ruling the 8 gates that we read from 1 up to 11, halting before we get to gate 10, now the vessel of love.
absolutely. Ready, Mosey? Cool. So here we're gonna start off with the full hexagram mandala. So the human design mandala wheel. This is a full hexagram representation of it. It's one of my favorite images. So basically, this is the foundation that we're starting with. And then throughout this episode, we're going to cut it down into smaller pieces. And then at the very end, our last two sections, we're going to talk about the mythology of the Godheads and the specific gates that they represent and are kind of the spokespeople for. So this is kind of our base foundation before we start cutting up the pie.
Mm, yeah. Again, I like how at the very end, to really see the rest of the wheel, you have to go all the way out to the hexagrams now to see the sixth line of all of this. It's interesting to look at it this particular way. As always, the sixth line is on the roof, so we're dealing on the inside.
Absolutely. So now to break it down a little bit to make it a little bit easier to digest, when we're looking at the Godheads, then we're looking at this fourth line out, right? So you start off with the yin yang, then you have the four base pairs where it's two lines, and then it's the eight trigrams because they have three lines. And if you go to this fourth line out, this is where it's the Godheads. And so it's like if you know someone with a fourth line personality and they're the networker and the opportunist and they're really social and they're here to externalize that energy, we can kind of start to understand this role of these Godheads, these representatives.
Yeah, and again, the wheel shows it this way, so anyone looking at it, looking for six lines, just realize we're stopping at the fourth line here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's the Godhead line. So now we're going to keep breaking down a little further down and we're going to
Here it
start
becomes
cutting.
really clear. It becomes clear here. Here's wicked easy to see.
Yeah, we start cutting into the pie slices a little bit. And so now this one we're talking about specifically the quarter of mutation. This is this quarter that we're currently entering into. And so the quarter of mutation moves through totality. All mutation comes into the world. Program initiates mutation. Change in information frequency takes time for the information to get here. And within this quarter, it's purpose fulfilled through transformation. And the mystical theme is accepting death.
So as I look through this again, I start to see that the acceptance of death is one part of it. And can you quiet him down? And the acceptance of death is one theme, but the rest of the actual theme is this mutativeness to grow again. Because I mean, we here on Earth, we don't accept death until it's the last day. So all the rest of the time, we're just sort of trudging through winter. You know what I mean? We were designed to actually transcend that whole, not the acceptance of death part, because no one really dies. We just move on. Obviously, it's just the vehicle that ceases at some point. Maybe I don't even know what the rule is on that technically in the long run, but the acceptance becomes this mutative process, and then we get into the four ways, and this becomes the way of approach. The whole thing is going from the yang energy of one all the way to the approach of 19. The way of this quarter, based on the cross of the four ways, is this gate 19's arm of it that says we approach now the new beginning. This is we approach the new beginning, that whose voice is I remember. Just like God's very first thing to do is he struck the universe with sound. He said a word or something like that, right? Isn't that sort of how it all started?
Well, the God created the word. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he spoke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
spoke and there was the world.
Yep. Yes, yes. And we're on approach to that. This is a mutative, empowering process to get joy, to bring in power, to bring in the drive, to bring in all the things and the mystery and every last thing that want to get there. The stuff that sort of almost doesn't matter during initiation. This is the rambunctious side smashing into the movement towards the final new beginning. And listen to the words, the final new beginning. There is no final new beginning. We're on a circle. But to mutation, there is, because it's going to move into 13.
Hmm.
So each time they come to their stopping point, but then they're going to repeat, obviously, next year. And then this moves into larger global cycles, obviously, which we'll talk about one day. 20,000, 26 or 9,000 year epochs of time and so forth.
Yeah, and this idea of transformation, it's like I liken it to like a butterfly in the chrysalis, like when it's in the cocoon. Like it is a death, it is an acceptance of death. It's going to turn into goo and completely like reconfigure and reformulate to go and create into something else. So that acceptance of things coming to their end in order for them to shift and transform for the new things to come in.
Mm, yeah. wickedly so. And again, the acceptance of the whole death, but the mutative part is the withering. You can see it as the withering, but that's for all the trees outside. We're the juxtaposition of that. And the plants, and the top of my potato plants, they're basically done. I'm pretty sure they're doing no more photosynthesis, so I got to go dig them up. And that's this time we're moving into it. And so, but that's not us. We're the juxtaposition of that. We're the witnessers. So we're the experiencer of it and the transcender of it at the same time. That's why I said the transcendence. One day we don't finish the transcendence part, at least the body doesn't, and that's okay, but the rest of the time we do.
Absolutely, Mosey.
Hmm.
So here we're looking at Sirius because Sirius is the star that is the base pair that represents this quarter of mutation, the double yang lines. And so on the right, you can see I put a little constellation of Sirius, and I highlighted the star that is, well, the constellation is Canis Major, and then the highlighted star is Sirius. So Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. It's part of Canis Major, which is the dog star. It looks like a dog if you go look at it, and it's next to Orion because it's like
It
Orion's dog.
does.
Yeah, yeah, it's like Orion's hunting dog.
Is it
And
next to Orion
yeah, it's really
in the
close there.
sky?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's right there. Yeah. So Sirius represents brilliance, mystery, and spiritual significance across cultures and takes us into the unknown and catalyzing shifts, redefining what it means to be human. This is powerful to close the cycle. Sirius is a cosmic catalyst that embodies the force of evolution, encouraging a leap beyond the known. Sirius is a star that burns brightest, urging humanity to evolve, adapt, and embrace the mystery of what's next, closing the mandala's wheel with a promise of renewal.
Yeah, that closing of the wheel. We're back at gate 19 for the whole quarter, I mean, but the parts we're going to be talking about, I want to getting excited about talking about the beginning of this quarter because that's where we're going to be starting with our two Godheads. And so this whole thing begins with this giant yang-like punch.
Hmm.
It's this movement where the first four hexagrams are loaded down with the most amount of yang that you'll see out of any four hexagrams, essentially. And it's a lot. So let the dog march forward. I think Sirius is the place and the time and the non-withering that brings the consciousness crystals basically back online. Initiation is the awakening of mind. This is like the preparation of finishing mind.
Cool, Mosey.
Hmm.
So now we're further breaking down and cutting up that pie chart. And so here we have the trigram of heaven, and the godhead of Hades represents the externalization of the heaven trigram. So the heaven trigram is creativity in pure form, determining nature and development of all.
I don't even know what to make of this. Just heaven over heaven for the creative life force that is the most expressive and has the most to do with each other, as it relates to the most expressive part of it. This has got to be besides this section on the wheel on the other side. Remember, the beginning of civilization it was, individual dominated. This is sheer creative dominated. This becomes what is the expression of gate two, starting with. So, the magnetic monopole has a job to do, and it's to leak out through the 1 and the 8. And that's where we start.
Perfect. So here we have finally gotten to our godheads, and we're starting off with Hades, who represents gates 1, 43, 14, and 37, and he is the yang externalization of heaven. Hades is the Greek god of the underworld who governs the realm of the dead. Hades symbolizes the inevitable cycle of life and death, the transformative power of endings, and the deep mysteries of existence. Though often seen as dark and foreboding, Hades is also a god of justice, ensuring the balance of life and death is maintained with fairness. Hades embodies raw creative inner Hades embodies raw creative power, inner sovereignty, and he's a force of transformation through self realization. Pure, unrelenting, self sustaining energy that drives forward with unshakable will, shaping reality through its own intrinsic knowing. Embracing our strength, breaking through limitations and trusting in the power of our knowing. Hades calls us to embody the highest expression of personal truth, moving through life with relentless, unapologetic creative force.
It's 34, not 37. And if you feel like changing that now, I'll just start talking.
No, pause because it throws off the video. So just pause for 1 second and I'll do it. Thank you. Let me do a thing first. Hades
What?
represents gate Hades represents gates 1, 43, 14, and 34.
Yeah. So as we put all this together, look at how individual and unique this is. 1 and 43, these are the mirrors to each other on the other side of the throat. 14 and 34 are the two wicked sustaining gates out of the sacral, empowering the whole thing. The fact that 14 and 34 are giving credence in this quarter, they're not connected through a life force, but they're bringing the sacral sustainment to the creation. So one says, um, it's expressing love is light, but the very first line is creation is independent of will. And this whole line is about the potential to manifest inspiration without and beyond any limitation. The possibility to break past that ring past not. I always like to mention that we never seem to see past until moments of gate 1 and all the other individual gates. 43 is the same thing, but the moment of explanation. And it is deaf to the other because 43 is the inner ear. This is, I would put it almost here in a way. This thing is so unique that it needs to undue influence outside of it such that its unique insight can come through. So what is all that saying? This is like, I'm here to inform sooner or later. I'm here to speak. And then 14 brings an abundance that if you look at 14 correctly, you see it's so exalted and it has this keeper of the keys name and it's the channel of the beat that it basically empowers. And what it does is the abundance that it brings is its energy. 14 is the sacral gate that empowers our direction through the monopole. It's not 5, it's not 29, and it's 14 does it almost identically. If you want to look at it this way, the way 59 fires up the solar plex and the way 27 fires up gate 50 in the spleen. And so if the sacral isn't there, the body graph doesn't split into a 9-centered being, technically, to be empowered by that sacral. And then the sacral empowers the direction. So God wanted this whole thing to just like always have sustaining energy to do what? I don't know what the real deal is with Hades. I thought this was my own, Western view of it. Ignorant would be Hades is hell. However, this can't. There has to be a transcendence to that somehow, some way, because this is actually the inspiration and the potential to break beyond anything that would be hell and to move towards what? Towards beauty. This is the unique empowerment, then the explanatory empowerment that from the idea itself, from the notion, from the insight, then the empowerment to move it. And then 34 is the empowerment to literally to not to survive as ourselves during it, meaning guarantee its continuance. We stay ourselves, and then 14 moves it upwards, 43 explains it, ultimately becomes the rationale. 43 becomes the voice of 24's rationale. So that rationale becomes now the explanation as 23 shows up, because we already went by it, and explains essentially this amazing creation. So what are we doing? We have to wait in the unique pulse for the word. And in our waiting, and by the way, if you look at these first two gates, they are projected 100%. These are parts of projected channels. They wait and they wait and they wait for the creation to suddenly break through the limitation. And that is this quarter. The quarter is always with the potential and ultimately the need and the will do of breaking through the limitations that hamper creativity. This is the creative and the empowerment of it. So that's something that we need as we move into the next 4 gates. So this is very much looking forward for the human experience, for mankind to not squander and be able to have its creativity in the world and put it forth with great power. So what does that say about Hades? How does that fit in here, all that stuff? Pure unrelenting, self-sustaining, embracing of our strengths, breaking through limitations, trusting in the power of our own knowing. That is actually a really good keynote of everything I just said. So this sounds like an exalted place, if I allow it. What is there any other, like, I always was told Hades is hell. What am I getting that from?
I mean, I think like it's the word for it, but like Hades is also this like Godhead, this deity that governs the realm of the dead.
A
So I
myth.
think
Oh,
it's like the place, and
that's the
he's the guy
mythology of this
who's,
chat.
to
Yeah.
my understanding, I can like look
Yep.
it up to clarify.
No, it's all good.
Do you have
It's all
more to
good.
say?
Yeah. So no, I'm good with this. And
Cool.
the empowerment of the movement towards creativity.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So we will now mosey to Prometheus, who is our second godhead for this series, which is he is the yin externalization of heaven, and he represents gates 9, 5, 26, and 11. So Prometheus is a Greek titan, and Prometheus's act of stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humans not only symbolizes the gift of creativity and intellect, but also represents the awakening of human potential and independence. He gifted humans the ability to create, to transform their environment, and to rise above the limitations imposed upon them by the gods. His act of giving fire is a metaphor for the spark of knowledge, creativity, and enlightenment that empowers individuals to challenge the status quo and strive for a better world. Uh, Prometheus embodies quiet yet unwavering force of divine inspiration, patience, and transmission of knowledge to awaken humanity, and does not force change but instead cultivates it, allowing deep insights to take root and grow. Prometheus teaches real empowerment comes not from control, but from the ability to share knowledge in ways that endure beyond the self. Prometheus calls us to trust in divine timing, to hold and nurture wisdom until the world is ready to receive it, and to be a guiding light, one that may not always be recognized immediately, but whose impact shapes the course of history.
Yeah. So if the 1 and the 34 outline the first four, which they do, so the power of the creative, which is individual, by the way. So this is a unique yang force only. We haven't moved into the end. And then the gate of raw power, the power to empower, life itself, gate 34, because it empowers our survival directly. Um, those two things as bookends say we are the raw creative power, and it also says the creative power is the prime power. It's not the power in our muscles to do something necessarily, but although musculature will create the creative, it's the power in the creation itself through the inspiration that we're always receiving. And that's, through this beautiful head center of ours. This one does the same thing, except it's now the receiver of it. Sort of look at the first four as 51, gate 51, and shocking the world into existence. And then 25, look at these four gates as gate 25, the receiver of it. And it's in the language for the yin of this. What does father do? He gets out and he creates the stupid thing, and he might not even tell anyone except his wife makes him tell him. And now the wife, what does she do? She shares it into the family, and she tells her friends, and this is the thing, and da 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 da. In a working world where people are whatever they're doing, or in an archetypal situation, you can reverse those roles, obviously, but at the end of the day, this is the receiver of that, and it shows it starts out the yin. And so 9 receives the need to ponder all the details of that greatness. Okay, 5 says we're setting the pattern over that. 4 says a powerful voice will transmit that. We're going to transmit that not in some any other way than that which would be a powerful voice. And 11 says the light. Its whole thing is the awakening of the light, because its fear is the darkening of the light. So at the end of the day, gate 11, this gate of peace, look at peace like a bright sunny day. Just that is the peace of 11 would like all of its ideas to see the bright light of day. And that peace that 11 has with its ideas, that's part of what helps move it. That's what lets it cope, frankly, because these ideas came from a place of oppression, you know, And they can still be oppressive just because they made it through the confusion factory up there doesn't mean we're done with it. 11's got a lot of work to do to make it stimulating at the end of the day. So 9 tames it, 5 fixes it, 26 says it, 11 concretizes it. And the only thing we can ever really pass on a story, that's the thing we passed on first. So 11 helps become basically the concretized version of just the story that passes on. And it has to pass on because this passing on tradition and process, this is more of a process. When you get to 13 and 33, that's the true tradition. But this is the process that fills the tradition over time, sort of like gate 48, gate 18 drips into gate 48 to build the well of depth. This is very similar. And so that tradition that we're actually just sort of storytelling about to keep part of the history and to tell the stories, that sets up for the quarter of initiation, started with 13. That becomes the fellowship back into the prodigal. The collective history wakens up through mind, and we start it all over again. So this is the catcher in the rye, baby. This makes it become real because it can't. The individual is not shared. The individual is always a freak, one way, shape, or form, at least a little bit. The individual is always time warped a little bit out from the collective because how could they not be? They're mutative and unique at the moment. So this is the collective call and response. This is the collective response to all of that. And still, notice the sacral juice, 9 and 5. So we've gone around the sacral with what, 34, 14, 9, 5. Was there another one? Nope. So 14, 9, 5. So 4 of the 8 gates are sacral. That's a lot. So this is sacral time, right? This is sacral time. This is response time. This is go time. This is right now time. Mind takes a little bit to get going. Mind is very much projected time to start with. It's all good, but that's what it is. This is no yang time. Yang time, let's move, let's go, let's concretize this thing. Tell a story. Just start talking. Tell a story. What are your ideas? They will be there to feed the beginning of the quarter of initiation and in gate 13. So heaven and heaven in the yin, and before heaven with heaven and the yang. I think it's pretty cool.
Feel good on this slide?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the continuation of our Godhead series with Hades and Prometheus as the representatives of the Trigram of Heaven.
What to say about these two? I mean, they got a heck of a job. These two have a heck of a job. I don't know if they were at war with each other, if they got along back in the mythology of it all, but um, they better be brothers in reality somehow because they got a lot of work to do in cooperation with one another. This is, we think of the quarter duality as so cooperative, or even civilization where we had to cooperate, build things. This is an incredibly cooperative time. Incredibly cooperative. It just goes to show all 4 quarters ring with our need to cooperate in order to achieve the communion where we belong with the beauty and the aesthetic. And this begins this actually also begins the process of each year we have a moment to recognize money isn't everything. In gate 14:1, line 1. In gate 14, line 1, striking up this quarter right at near the beginning of it. Money isn't everything, and we keep learning that each time. And creation is independent of will says the same thing. Money isn't everything. Money can't make me be a great artist. And by the way, this is the point where this is the great creative, because these aren't the guys that are the most competitive to be the best. That's collective business and tribal business and collective business that are willing to repeat. You can't be the best unless you're willing to repeat. And that's tribal business. That there's collective business. So
Mm,
collective understanding.
absolutely. Any other thoughts? You feel good on this, and we can go into part 2?
Yeah, let's do part 2.
Awesome. So, continuing on, we are going to dive into the 8 gates with the heaven trigram as their foundation.
The heaven trigram as their foundation.
Yeah, and so then you can see here on the bottom left of the screen, we have the changing lines. So if you look, then these 3
Oh my God,
bottom
thank you,
lines
Moni.
Yeah, these three, you're welcome. These three bottom lines are all solid yang, which represents heaven as the trigram. It's the three solid yang lines. And so these three bottom ones stay the same, but these top ones are shifting around. So, the I Ching and the changing lines, these are the changing lines of the heaven trigram and the gates that we are now going to go through.
It's so funny when it was a concept because you said it. I've somehow tuned differently in a moment. I was like, huh? And then when you showed the pretty picture, I was like, oh, the bottom three, they're moving. Yes, the heaven. So this is a view of heaven, everybody. The
Yeah,
changing lines.
yeah, the creative force of heaven.
Hmm.
And if you're interested in booking a reading with either Danny or myself, check out the QR code right above me, or I also have it down in the description box below. And you can use code AWAKEN to save 10% if you want to do a reading with either of us and talk about your chart and some really fun stuff. We can totally do that.
We can't wait. I can't wait to read for people. You're going to love this. So whenever you
Yeah,
feel like booking, please do.
absolutely. And also, if you're interested in donating to the show and help support us, then you can hit that QR code above me. We also have the code down in the description box below. So if you've been getting something out of it and you got a few bucks that you want to throw at us, that would really help support our channel and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, super appreciated, everybody. And the show pours out all of our love right onto you. So anything you can do is very much appreciated.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. Oh, thank you to everyone who's watching, liking, subscribing, hanging out, asking us questions, doing the thing, helping us grow. We just got to 1,000 subscribers today, so that was the big excitement. So
No
thank you
way,
for
that's right. I saw that. I saw that. Okay, dude, can you check? What is it now? Is it 1,001 yet? Is it 1,004? Come on, tell
Oh my
me.
gosh, I'm pretty sure it's at 1,000, and it just kind
Okay,
of hanging out. Just got the 1K, which is really
we
exciting.
made a
So
thousand.
we made it. So thank you to everyone for helping us get there. It was really exciting, and it was our goal for the year, and we made it in the year. So thank
We
you
made it in
very
the
much.
year before October ended. Like we're sliding into home plate right in the nick of time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So let's get into it. So, starting off, we're going to explain the heaven trigram. Heaven is superhuman cosmic law. This is creativity in pure form, determining nature and development of all. This is the movement of the stars, the cycle of the season, causing seeds to grow into plants, a force that drives change and what endures from within. And within the I Ching trigrams, there's 8 of them, and they all have like a member, like they have a place in the family. All 8 trigrams have a place in the family, and so heaven is the father, and it's 3 yang lines stacked on top of each other. So the 3 yang solid lines, that's the father. So that's how you can remember that.
Um, Again, it's the yang has always been that, right? So this is just falling right in line with the archetype of archetypes in a sense. I'm not sure what else to really add to that except that the stacking on top and the heaven and the heaven. I could have easily thought heaven as a yin thing in a way, but heaven as what the land of God and God is the Father. It's just sort of that's the way to see it, right?
Well, and there's also, if you look at it from like the electromagnetic standpoint, then heaven and the yang is the electric force. It's the force that's going out in a straight line, whereas the yin is the feminine magnetic receptive force. It's
The
like you can
earth
see it
force
in,
or the earth
yeah,
force.
it's
Okay,
the
in that
earth force, it's
analogy.
the receiving. If you look at like a battery, you got the little plus sign nubby end, and that's
Yep.
pushing out electricity, whereas the flat indented inside is the feminine, it's the yin, it's the magnetic receiving the energy. So heaven is this like yang, pure masculine, electric kind of force is that can help kind of balance it out and understand it. Or like the
Well,
rays of the sun, the sun is shooting out rays and the earth is receiving it.
yep, yep. No, that's an easy way to actually see it. It's funny to see that all of this stuff still grounds itself into a yin and a yang. We are a binary. Our chart is a binary. The universe is a binary. Might as well call it a biverse. Ra always did. I do whenever, it makes sense, unless I need to not confuse someone. Call it the biverse. Right. And then I have to call it the universe when I really am thinking biverse, but anyway, I still try and get away with it because it's what it is and everything. The lights go on and off, up and down, boys and girls, you name it. We're binary. And the
Yeah.
forces and the heaven force, the yang, this almost could be called initiation in a way because this would be the heaven yang force that somehow or other spoke the word And then some quarter later, through a little bit of gestation time, we then awaken into mind and starts our human experience. So this might be God's starting of the quarter, and 13 would be humanity, mankind's starting of the quarter, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, what do you think of that, Moni?
Yeah, I mean, even the idea of it is just like heaven, and on the other side is earth starts the quarter of civilization into the world and into form, whereas like heaven starts transformation and initiation. Like those are very yang kind of even
Yeah.
terms as quarters, whereas civilization and duality, those do have more of like a feminine yin kind of receptive vibe to it. And it's that beautiful complementary of opposites and that
Mm.
balance that we all exist in and creates our world. Like they're both necessary. They just have different parts to play, but they go so well together.
It's just so good. So yeah, this all makes sense. I actually like it. We can go move on.
Oh, good. So, starting off, we're going to be looking at gate one, which is the creative and the gate of self expression. This is heaven over heaven. Creative force is the absolute power of heaven, moves the stars in their courses, and makes the seasons turn. A noble one finds this creative force within, as close as his own breath. It does not need to pause and rest, nor does he. Oh no, you took a sip right when I stopped talking.
Yeah, because I had the sense from the meter of it all, I was gonna go on another little bit longer, and I was trying to listen to what you were saying. That's funny. I should just read the words as you say it, but for some reason I don't. It's a funny process. Sometimes I do. This creative self-expression of heaven over heaven means everything as it relates to the starting of things. If we give heaven to God as it relates to all of these examples and we see it, the Almighty, the Force, the Father that comes in and smashes the start of the creative process, the true start of it. Two is incredibly creative. Gate two, I'm referring to, all the way over on the other side, starting out civilization. But in reality, it's not the full creative, it's the receptive for the creative, which is still quite creative, don't get me wrong. But this is purely the yang creative. And what does that say about the whole quarter that starts it out? It says, I am going to be unique and I'm going to set up a foundation where when we get it all started over again, we will have not lost our uniqueness. This is the bookmark for it all. And this heaven over heaven, designation and timing for it all becomes the symbol that we get to see and clearly mark it here. So we'll never lose track. There's a constant signpost here. The creative begins here.
Perfect. Mosey?
Hmm. Hmm.
Awesome. So continuing on to gate 43, this is breakthrough in the gate of insight. This is represented by lake over heaven. Lake above heaven is a cloud sharing the blessing of rain, always pure, never in contact with mud. A noble one's generosity, pure, inspired expression of her character, without ulterior motive. She gives and also knows what to stay away from.
So this becomes, there was yin over yang over yang. This becomes yin over yang, essentially, right?
Well, the top line is yin, but the bottom five line are yang. Lake is about abundance. It's like
Mm.
bountiful abundance. It's the koi pond with the lotus flower.
And the thing is, that pond is so filled with stuff, just like the breakthrough in the insight gate and the body graph, demanding that I be a bookend for gate one to explain the creative, to basically create the concepts that could lead to the explanation of the creative. And that's what this whole thing's doing. Another very yang force all the way around, smashing through, breaking through. I mean, the material version of Gate 43 and Line 3 guarantees that this thing will do anything and suffer any condemnation and stick with its thing in order to achieve that breakthrough and release that insight. And Gate 1 is an incredible foundation to Gate 43. So, a Yang force that needs to explain and basically come up with the concepts that will, the inner knowing and the rationale that will explain it and leads to the explanation. The explanation becomes what the lake is full of. The lake is full of the explanation in this trigram. I mean, in this hexagram.
I also really like if you actually look at the hexagram here down at the bottom, it's the bottom five are solid yang lines, but the top line is actually a yin. And so it even looks like a breakthrough. Like it's just chipping into it. It was just all solid and there's now a little breakthrough into it. And I really like that.
That's how it starts, man. That's how it starts. Yep.
Cool. Ready, Mosey?
Hmm.
Continuing on, we have gate 14, which is possession in great measure, and the gate of power skills. And this is fire over heaven. Stars move in accordance with natural law, inner awareness of creative reality and clarity in living. The greatness of the cosmos is that it works as it should. Her task is quite simple. Allow it to be, remove obstacles, work with it. Hatred only wastes energy resisting reality. Spreading the good aligns with the natural order. Sun does not struggle to rise in the sky, it just rises. Noble one ascends to what is and yields to heaven.
I know I've said this before, but the lilies in the field, they do not toil, right? They just
Yeah.
live and they bask in the sunshine, and every picture of them will be wonderful as long as they're left to be themselves. The fire over the heaven, the cool part about this is watching that yin line just sink down one. It's like we're dropping down, we're being swallowed down into the belly of this mutation. And is what the hexagrams are unfolding to look like. And fire over heaven, yeah, that's inside. That's the inside fire. And the thing is, this is coming off of gate 14, this possession in great measure, the power skills to know the right timing to release the power that empowers the direction. And skilled interaction is part of the name in the book, who's that somebody with the the possibility for skilled interaction essentially. And that skilled interaction is protecting that power such that it is released, because the release of power can only be great for gate 34 when its release is towards higher principles. So this whole little 4 section thing is always looking towards the higher principles for the release of the power. That's what it's looking for. And it's looking to have it be explained in a certain way, conceptualized, and to have it be its creative self in the first place. To me, the fire of gate 14 is right where it needs to be, right below the top yang line, burning away on the inside. That's how people know, oh, this thing's warm. This thing's got a motor that's running. This thing is must have possessions in great measures. And it does, because it brings the abundance of our movement. I mean, gate 2 is the monopole, and the nodes are so, closely linked. 14 is and it's a gas pedal for that.
Yeah. I was looking up the lilies of the field verse.
Oh, is it a
Yeah,
verse?
yeah, it's in the Gospel of Luke. It's Luke chapter 12 verses 27 through 28. Consider the lilies how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith?
Ah, have faith in the lilies in the field that do not toil. That's really sweet. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good verse.
And hatred does. It only wastes the energy. The hatred in here is the waste of your responsive energy and your responsive truth in the now. The sun does not struggle to rise. No, it does not. The response of 14 does not struggle to get out. It awaits its right timing, and in response, it is out. Her task is quiet and simple. Yes, it is. Please allow yourself to await the possession of power in great measure that leads to skilled interaction, that leads to the direction. This thing seems to be named appropriately. Fire over
Absolutely.
heaven.
Ready, Mosey?
Hmm.
So continuing on to gate 34, which is the power of the great and the gate of might. This is thunder over heaven. The action of thunder rests on underlying principles of heaven, acting with great vigor, acting with great vigor, not improvising and adapting. Such great energy needs a better guidance to avoid injury, follows ritual, acts in ways that observe the principles of creation and follows their patterns, not so much respecting the rules for their own sake as respecting what is known to work because it is in harmony with the nature of things.
In the whole idea of natural law, which was in the previous hexagram, again, we're entering the yin here. And now the top two are open, awaiting more to come in. This is now the pouring in of, but at this point in time, you're pouring it in. It's not just a tiny little breakthrough, it's now substantial. And thunder over heaven's a perfect name for gate 34. it's as explosive as you get, essentially, as it relates to the release of power. And its whole thing again is the release of power is only great when its use is put towards higher principles. And the higher principle is surviving as yourself. Please, people, survive as yourselves, become yourselves, come in and get a reading and understand yourself and understand what you're not. That's the higher principle. And it says within humanity, as you do that, amongst all of mankind, you will have value and bring something important. And these things will be needed as the more you are yourself. And only you can know that as we show you how to get into the experiment and actually look and witness for yourself. Don't take my word for it. All you got to do is let me read your body graph for a little while and be like, oh my God, I see it too. That's the whole thing. This knowledge has to be passed from one to the other. In fact, this is the initiation of that process with even gate 11 that has the idea in the first place to say it out loud. 13 isn't the one with the idea to say it out loud. 13 is the recipient of that whole process all the way down through the solar plex in the throat, through the dome, back up through to the format channel of maturation, and then back up to 13 through 29 and 46. In case you didn't get all that, slow it down. It's there, and this is the what feeds into that process. So we need it. We need it. Yep.
Yeah, I really like this bottom line where it says not so much respecting the rules for their own sake as respecting what is known to work because it is in harmony with the nature of things. It's so easy to get idealistic on an idea and what we can change, and the world would be so much better if we can just change all these things about it. And I get it because it's idealistic, it's an utopian and all that kind of stuff. But if it's not actually in harmony with the nature of things, we're just pushing against reality.
Frustrated responsiveness, the release of power as a bully, the bull in a china shop, the not self of 34 that releases power in order to gain advantage, to gain a lust for lucre, to gain some kind of thing that becomes seven-centered, barely cooperative, non-communal, and does not fill the spirit or meet up with humanity's purpose. The old way, we can call all of that. This power is great as its release is essentially witnessed and limited. Doesn't mean never get frustrated. This is thunder, dude. And thunder over heaven. It's not heaven over thunder. It's the thunder first and then the heaven, as you look from the top down. And so thunder booms. What to do? Boom. That's a response. Boom. And sometimes it's frustrated. And in that frustration, it will release that.
Oh
So
yeah, and even just like 34 as this insane power it is such a huge power. As someone who does not have gate 34 with an undefined sacral, like gate 34 is a powerhouse. It is a shocking thunder boom over the pure creative force of heaven. Like that absolutely makes sense.
its entrance on this plane came at a time when it was absolutely necessary that it met up with its first line description of the bully, the indiscriminate use of power in the face of any frustration. They needed that because they were in a time when there was still, 1,000 other species competing for life at the time. We were just one of many. We needed that to conquer this domain as we have. We needed that. This is a necessary, integral part of what it is to be human. And it's what I hear every great man say these days when they're talking about, yeah, I can do things if I need to, and I can do bad things, but I know I can also not. And that is in where is my real power. It's my choice to not, knowing I can,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
have to be powerful enough to protect yourself and defend
Yep.
yourself, or you're just going to be taken over, as well as your family and your home and your lands. You need to, as a man, be able to be strong and protect yourself, and then control that monster that could come out. Like that's
Right.
true. That's true
Right.
masculinity. That's true manhood.
And thank you, heaven, for being under the thunder. Receive the thunder. No thunder, boom. You will land in my comfortable grace. It sounds like there's a notion like that somewhere in one of the Proverbs. Land on me, my big booming thunder. I will comfort you in the blankets of grace in heaven. You're good. Release. It's basically release yourself, just like a frustrated sacral response.
Mosey.
Mosey.
Continuing on to gate 9, which is the taming power of the small and the gate of detail. And this is wind over heaven. Wind moves above heaven, doesn't yet bring rain to earth, directed by the inner creative force of heaven, naturally moving with it. Inwardly unchanging principles. Outwardly, actions gradually take shape of those inner principles. Self-cultivation that aligns you with the creative power concentrates on growing potential rather than bringing about results.
Mm. Yeah, I like this. Inwardly unchanging principles. So it's more sacral business. Of course, it has to be unchanging principles because whatever the response is at the time, that's the principle. And the action of this principle is to tame the many and tame the large abundance of small into something that we can focus on and turn into a repetitive pattern as its brother across the way in gate 16, as its opposition on the wheel demands. This is a direct answer or beginning to what will become enthusiastically built upon, identified with as a pattern that is a solution. This is the taming power of the small to tame things into the small and create the thing that becomes the fruits of the solutions. This is that format. So the wind has to carry that. Dude, the small is everywhere. Pick up a dandelion after it's all dried out and blow on it. It's everywhere. Tame that. Someone tame that for me. Get every piece and tame. Well, you better have a gate 9. If you're resolved to say, whoa, and and let's say you needed them and you get your tweezers and you go get every piece, that is the taming power of the small because it can be done. And so if the sacral energy is there and I needed every one of these, and you go, so that's what it does very much. That you When I was studying, I was so thankful for my gate 9. It was sacrally responsive all the time, and each time it wanted to listen to the detail, it needed all the detail. It needs to start from the very beginning. It needs to have the thing that I can smush into that and smush into this and finally have it be something I can help people identify with. It's like a yearning responsiveness that it won't respond if it can't have any of those things. And maybe it will in frustration. It just will against itself potentially, or against other things that it wouldn't be the right timing for it. Just because it's generated doesn't mean it's not still subject to the timing of the rhythm of the movement of us all, right? So, wind over heaven. I like it. Carries it all.
Absolutely, Mosey.
Hmm.
So now
This
we
also
are,
causes us to talk about the gates in a different way.
yeah.
Because I notice I'm not doing this one, didn't matter what gate, but I'm not doing like all of its functionality as its mechanic inside of every last thing. I'm talking about it slightly differently. So I think we've talked about the gates about 3 separate ways now in full, where we fully mention them, maybe even 4. I think that's intense. Anyone wants to out there watching, you go and you watch that, you listen to like the 4 ways we've already described gate 9, for instance, you'll have a picture. We should put that behind a paywall, Moni.
I mean, I kind of feel like eventually
Not
that's what,
yet. I just
yeah,
don't
like
wish
I feel
to.
like we're developing the coursework and eventually it will be a thing. For now, it's like I feel like the people who get in early get the most,
Not to
like,
mention, I'm forbidden from making suggestions online, so I retract my suggestion.
you already did it online on the live stream. Oh, I guess I'll
That's
edit
funny.
it out in post.
No, don't you dare. That's funny. I want it to stay.
It's
We're
not
we're we're,
then
we're
you should
work
be the one doing
partners.
editing. Ready to mosey?
Mm-hmm.
Now we have gate 5, which is waiting in the gate of fixed rhythms. This is water over heaven. A noble one doesn't hover anxiously, watching over the skies. Sureness and constancy in his heart and fluidity in his actions. He thrives in the present moment. Feasting when you can't cultivate your field shows confidence. It keeps you rested and prepared for the moment when you can act, revitalizing your relationship with what provides for you.
Yeah, and the confidence is that the pattern is being laid down. It's being laid down in a fundamental, earth-like way because this pattern has been there since the primordial soup from which supposedly life certainly crawled up onto the rocks out of the slime. I don't know how that all worked, but whatever. I know some of that happened because there was all that stuff long ago. Um, but this is sort of that, and the water creates not only this fertile thing when it's moving, but its pattern becomes consistent and everything moves with it. Everything moves with the water a great deal, that which is in and around the water, just like the 15 and the 5 in your body graph create a magnetism that doubles up your aura. It'll double up with just the gate 15, but when you connect them, you got a strong double wide aura and something called actual magnetism, like what the G center sort of does with its magnetic monopole. This is the magnetism to pull to the pattern, the waiting part where it recognizes, I hear it written all through this, get rid of the anxiety, watching the skies, do whatever you want, don't have to watch any of that, because waiting all by itself is a fixed pattern aspect of not only enlightenment, but it's an aspect of our own intelligence and growth. It's waiting as an aspect of awareness. I'm waiting. What are you doing? I'm aware. That's what I'm doing. What do you mean you're aware? I'm responding to you, aren't I? I'm aware. Something happens, the responder responds. Is again powerful sacral stuff. So I'm pretty good with that.
Fantastic. So next up, we have gate 26, which is the taming power of the great and the gate of the egoist. This is mountain over heaven. Heaven, the creative force, dwells at the center of what it creates. The present contains the principle and energy that shape it. All this is available in the store of memory and written words. A noble one goes into this mountain cave of treasures to read and absorb, cultivating his own quality of character and personal power.
Yeah, and there is great personal power when this gate is itself. The taming power of the great, the egoist, is to basically tame his own power a certain way through the manipulation of memory, which, by the way, the manipulation of memory is, let me figure out how best to say this. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like what it's supposed to do. In a not self world, it can turn ugly, obviously. Let me figure out how to make this person buy this thing for too much. That can happen here too. Um, but it's got a great wisdom. I think the first line of this is something about a bird in the hand. It's
It's worth
something
two in
wicked.
the bush.
It's something like that. It's wicked practical, like gate 32. That is conservative. Even gate 44 is pretty. This whole stream is conservative in its nature. Maybe 54, not so much. It's got that omega line in it. It just wants to move up the ladder like a little generator. Um, but the rest of it is very conservative. Certainly the awareness, and this one is too, because its foundation is something about a bird in the hand. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so it's line one, a bird in the hand. The ability to enjoy the dreams engendered by accomplishment in order to avoid the delusion of unlikely potential. The ego which transcends limitation through dreaming. And then the detriment is accomplishment as a license for foolhardy risk taking, the refusal of the ego to be satisfied.
Right. The insatiability of this thing going into its personal expectations and what it thinks it should have. And I, me, mine will suddenly come out of this. Why not? It's also the home of the killer T cell. So it can, is the thing. It can. But the higher principle will speak to the tribe and will speak to the preservation and the existence and the continuity of the tribe, and it will assuage 44's fears of extinction and the past and stuff of that, and it will give great hope to why we do the work. All of that is in here. And when you look at the bird in the hand as a conservative thing, the egoist, the taming power of the great, it's just like great gate 34 in a way. Its great power is only great when it's used for higher purposes. When it talks to and receives the wisdom of the higher self. I mean, two things to put into the higher self are movement towards beauty and communion. Just if you always allow that, whatever I'm doing, whatever it is, I woke up, am I a little sad? Yeah, the movement towards beauty communion maybe needs a little sprucing up for you. You have a cup of coffee, suddenly the movement towards beauty and communion feels possible, and that's something we're constantly moving towards. So the taming power of the great helps the great forces stay tamed to help the movement, essentially. And this is, again, it's all couched in. This is the receiving part of the yang energy from the first four. So this sounds very yangy. It is very yang. It's got a yang trigram. I get it, but this is the yin part of that more yin sort of representation of, don't worry, I'm catching you, and this is important. And I've got a lot of awareness pointing at me, letting me know it's important. you know, 34, if it's not connected to 57, doesn't have any awareness. 14 has no awareness pointing at it. 43 has no awareness pointing at it. Neither does 1. Well, 43 does. 43 is the awareness, but 1 doesn't. Gate 1 doesn't. So this is a lot of awareness, moving through, pointing at this gate to say the taming must meet the higher principles, just like it must for 34. And my release of power as the egoist can affect the other, I will limit and use my great power of memory to bend and tame that great message as well to fit with what's needed for the love of my tribe. That's its higher principle. Not to be a liar, which it can be. Everyone knows that the name of this gate also has a keynote called the trickster. It's not the gate's fault. It's the not self of the person's fault, right?
Uh-huh.
So mountains. Tell me about mountains. Remember, Moni, in the pre-show
Mountains is
before we went on?
stillness.
But it's more
It
than just that, isn't it?
I could look and give you some
That's
more.
what
The main thing is like stillness, that resolute nature. It's that pause, it's the reflection. Let's see.
dwells at the
Oh,
center of what it creates. Yeah, look at the yin are now capped again. They're now within.
yeah,
So
so
again,
it's
a fire burning within, sort of.
yeah, so it says the mountain is still. It is a limit where you must stop. Mountain brings each cycle to an end, defining a space where we can recognize, assimilate, and complete our experience. He
Hold on
creates
there.
a
Because where you must make things stop. So the taming power is the cycles. The taming power at this point with coming into mutation and all the cycles of duality, the cycles of civilization, of initiation, they're all swirling in here. And this great taming power has to help put a stop to all of that in a way, like bring it to tame it. Does that make sense? Yep. Finish. You were about to finish the thought. Sorry.
no, it's fine. I had to also cough, so I had to like quickly mute so I didn't create a horrible sound. So mountain creates personal still a mud mountain creates a personal still center amid change where we can retreat for perspective and a firm foundation for new growth. Well grounded, confident, and of independent spirit. He is still and he knows. And it also
There it
says
is.
the pivot between cycles. It's the shift between the one and the other.
Oh, just what I was saying. It's receiving the cycles. I mean, that's what I was pointing out. And so, yeah, that whole pivot point, and that you have to have the taming power of the great. This is like this is like the guy that reaches his hands out and is able to grab it all. The taming power of the great must basically wrangle and use ego willpower. The great power of frustration out of 34 would not be finessed enough to work here. This is now needed and for all of mankind. The great power of 34 in the first four hexagrams was needed for the individual to stay unique and empower the moments where now 26 picks that up, because 26 about to basically tame it all so that gate 11 doesn't have to. It's got another job to do. This has got to deliver a package. In fact, it's in the perfect space. 26 has to deliver a tamed package, which it always does. It delivers as a transmitter the final message to the tribe. It's got to deliver it in a cohesive way so that 11's like, okay, thank you. I got the memo. Here's the idea. And that's what's happening here. So this is the fertile ground for idea making. And this one is Prometheus.
This isn't a Prometheus, yeah.
So Prometheus is the great giver of answers.
Well, yep, the story of Prometheus is like giving that spark of creation to the humans, that's like intelligence and giving the knowledge to the humans and like that mythology.
Whoa, that fits perfect. We think the spark actually comes from the yang part of the creativity, and I guess this is a binary spark. There's two parts to the spark. Just like we can split an atom, we can split a spark. They split photons to get spooky action at a distance. So this is a splitting of a photon. That spark is both sides of this. Absolutely.
Perfect, Mosey.
Hmm.
So, as our final gate, we are going to talk about gate 11, which is peace and the gate of ideas. This is earth over heaven. Creative force flows through the earth. Potential joins with the space for growth. Everything is possible. Blessed with Blessed with flow, wholly infests, bringing it to fruition in the human realm. Weaves the powers of inspiration and realization together into a synergistic context for creative work. To bring out its full potential, work actively to bring all people, energies, and areas of life into harmony inside its embrace.
Mm. Please, people, let's share and get together and tell the story around a fire, essentially. This is a storyteller. This is the beginning of it. And the fact that they tame and wrangle. the confusion and the pressures to have the inspiration in the first place is what drives the realization. It's what quells the sense of oppression over too muchness, and it's what puts into form the idea that is worth telling a story about in order to get it across. So please let my ideas see the light of day. Please let me bring light onto this plane during this darkness of winter and this quarter of mutation, where the stories say things wither, but my idea wither not. And if it need wither a little bit, it wither as a seed that gives its life all over again to come back to life again on gate 13, the coming of, spring and the growing seasons and what we do. So this is a type of seed that either stays perennial and is always alive and evergreen. Some trees are evergreen the whole time. That's this as a potential, or it's the seed itself. And its idea is a total living package in a seed that willingly the seed gives itself, it bursts itself dead in order to regrow again. And that idea comes back through gate 13, essentially, as the collective wisdom of it all. Same circuitry, same sub-circuitry, right? The sensing circuit, this abstraction, and the ideas that become earth over heaven say, guess what? Ideas aren't fanciful wind. They're not rich, fertile lakes, which they can be, but they embrace it all. They're earth. Earth has wind, Earth has fire, Earth's got dirt, rocks, trees, and everything else. And Earth has Earth, and Earth has us. And Earth over heaven is again heaven saying, don't worry, Earth, don't worry, peace and ideas. You hang out over me. I've got you in a nice warm embrace as you land under the blankets of heaven's grace. The gate of ideas must arise, and it must bring its light. And what was it empowered by in the first four hexagrams in Hades? Hades threw the light forward, and this next four hexagrams, Prometheus captured it, and basically this is the final broadcasting of it, essentially, because by the time it comes to gate 56 at the bottom, everyone is hearing about it. This is now being told and made manifest. And where's gate 56? It's in the quarter of civilization, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a throat gate. Yeah.
Yep. So there you have it. This gate has already gone by in the wheel. So 11 is not standing there alone. The gate already happened. This is the moment where that channel gets created. Ponder it that way. The channel of the storyteller is waiting as a potential, as a potential, as a potential until you get into mutation and it gets struck with uniqueness and yang energy that guarantees inspiration beyond limitation. It's empowered, it's moved upward, literally into a direction, and then it's powered through and it's tamed and it's detailed, and finally it's let out. So this is that. It's let out because 11 strikes and gate 1 of 11. I have no idea what gate 1 of 11 is, but something tells me line 1 of 11, but something tells me it's damn important because it sets up the foundation for peace. But this is going to be some kind of waiting that the ideas be in the right timing and they be perfect so that they flow naturally. Something like that.
Line 1, attunement. The serendipity of being in the right place at the right time.
That's what I said, man.
I
I
know.
love it.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
love it. Cool. So there it is. And so now we know that this thing's projected, it's waiting in its projectorness, its pristine grace is to sit there, that which comes as it waits as an active state of awareness, which was already given just 2 hexagrams ago in gate 5. The pattern is set, and now it's just waiting. What it's saying is, oh, ye of little faith, if I don't wait. Just like the proverb of the lilies in the field, ye ending in ye of little faith. Ideas is like, I got all the faith. My light is waiting to come out. I resonate to the idea of hope, and so it'll be here. And in that, it just attracts it. And then it shows up. There's no shortage of stuff to finally show up when you wait. Go fishing and tell me it works any other way, right? So peace is fishing for us, but it's a dutiful fisherman. It's sitting there day after day, always awaiting. But don't forget, when this rings, gate 12 has already done so on the other side to empower this into manifestation. So that's waiting there as an aspect of this gate in opposition to turn it into the most intense of articulations through gate 12. It's not 23, it's not 1, it's not even 16 or 20 that is the most tense. It's gate 12. It's individual, unique, personal, and the social channel of the individual that is getting together with the other. So it's wicked intense and it's sharp, um, as needed, and it can rigorously withdraw. So gate 11 is the piece that makes that run smooth. Finally, all these processes from civilization can start to run smooth, not just 56, but gate 12 too, as well. Bringing the light. Yay. I love the next gate in line, what it moves into, so it only makes sense.
It goes into
Oh,
gate 10,
mhm.
which is your personality sun.
Yep, mine too.
So that concludes our Gates of the Heaven trigram. So that was really fun continuing that series.
Mm. Yeah, that was a lot. A lot comes out there. This is a little bit of a confusing time, right? It didn't quite flow in a certain way, like the whole as duality was unfolding. I was excited. It's like, look at this nice, easy Harlequin romance I'm reading. I can tell where the ending's going. And it did. It sort of went there, and now we smash into mutation. And as always, the collective that's reading in the tribe, they run into the individual, the uniqueness too much, too fast. Yeah, it's a little bit of a smashing into, and that's what I felt like tonight. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's like yang over yang. It's like it
Right,
is.
what do I do with that? Guys are gross. Girls are so much prettier. What do I do with this? That type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, it's funny.
It is funny. That's good. That was really fun. It's always enjoyable to go through the gates in a different kind of way. And like, I always learn so much.
Mm, yeah, me too.
Yeah. So next week we will be doing our completely open centers episode, which I've been wanting to do for so long, and I'm very, very excited because I have an absolute fascination with completely open centers. So
Did
we
you see
will.
the recording? I sent it.
You sent it, and I started it, and I will completely listen to it by the time we do the show. So that'll be a really good one. And then I was thinking we can do some of the juxtaposition crosses to continue our crazy deep dive into all 92 incarnation crosses. So that'll be really fun.
Mm, this is going to be good. We're really making some headway. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right,
So
everyone. I'm wicked excited, man. Please book an appointment. It's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. It is amongst the greatest gifts you will ever really give yourself or a loved one. Christmas season's coming up, so I'm sure we have a way people can just buy the appointment, right? That would be fine.
yeah, we
So,
could totally figure a way to do that. Yeah. So if you'd like to book a reading with either Danny or myself, check out this QR code link above. We also have it down in the description box below, and you can use code AWAKEN for an extra 10% off to let you save a little bit. And you can hang out and
mhm,
talk with us, and we can have a real fun time.
absolutely.
And if you would like to donate to our show, if you get a lot out of our little teachings and our all we love to show you guys and share with you guys, feel free to click the QR code above to donate. We also have the QR code down below for that as well.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what happens next, Moni. This is perfect.
Absolutely. So, thank you to everyone who is watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, hanging out, asking questions. We love having you. Thank you for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers. That was a big goal for
Hmm.
us. So, that's really fun. So, thank you. And we will catch you next time.
In the nick of time, 1K. Yep. All
I know, right under the wire for the episode. So, it was super fun. See you later.
right.